demonstrate monstrance. Okay, nice container. In the host, the same one that's consecrated during Mass. You can sit there and pray, read scripture, cry your eyes out, which I do a lot. Pray there silently. Sometimes you can't stop talking, telling the Lord about your day and everything else. Sometimes you can't even say a word. Just sit there. And because it's a conversation, prayer, heart to heart, so give him a chance to talk to you, okay? After you're done, spend some time there just to listen to him. He will speak to you in more than one way. So that's 24/7. Okay, so here's the altar, here's the pietà. Right immediately, the door beside it, you go through there, and then immediately there's another door to the right. That's the Adoration Chapel. In fact, by the pietà, you look above, there's stained glass there that says Adoration Chapel. So go in there. After hours, which is 9:30 or 10, you can go there through the church doors, obviously, but after hours, about 9:30 or 10, as you're going out of the parking lot, to Elliott, the entrance to the Adoration Chapel would be to your left, and there's a code, through the door. You can go in there any time of day and night. And we are in need of a door. It's like, this comes from the night that before Jesus gets arrested, he's praying there, and then he looks at his apostles, and they're asleep. And he says to them, can you not watch 1 hour with me? That's where we get our holy hour, keeping Jesus company. So you see, it's all biblical. So we try to spend an hour. We have a sign-up sheet. You can, take up an hour a week to be there at a certain time. And you sign in. That's another reason I'm telling you to sign in. There's a sign-in book there. People that go in there, so you go at 3:45, you sign your name, then you leave at 4 o'clock, you sign out. The reason that's important is, again, to let us know you're there, and for safety reasons. Another reason is, if you, and this is not impossible, okay? If you one day will be up for canonization, right, for sainthood, don't laugh, Beth, because this is totally possible. If you read the life of St. Augustine, this is truly possible, all right? Anyways, if you in the future will be, they will be looking at your life, possibly canonize you, and all that. They will look at your life. This is one of the things they look at. Were you faithful? Were you, did you love the Lord, etc., etc. They look at the adoration log, and your name is there every week. So that's positive. That would be in your record, okay? They do. Past saints like Maximilian Kolbe, the one who died in the Auschwitz. So they look at the log, and they see him in adoration, many, many hours of adoration. Also for safety's sake, we need to know if somebody was there, and praise God, nothing has happened, but you're in front of the divine physician, the Lord of Lords, all-powerful God. Remember, we had all these attributes. It's the most peaceful place to be. It's right in front of him. So even if somebody has signed up for an hour, don't think that you're intruding if you go in there, go for 5 minutes before work, or just go say hi and say goodbye. This is Jesus, all right? He knows your life, every detail of your life. So don't think that you're intruding if somebody signed up for the hour, because that's open to anybody. 5, 10 minutes, 30 minutes, 3 hours. It's fine to be in there. We're just ensuring that there's always someone there keeping him company. That's why we have the hour, somebody signed up for that. And it doesn't matter if there's 10 people signed up for that hour, that's fine. Okay, so don't think, it's full, there's no room for me. No. You can sign up for any hour that's convenient for you. Obviously, we run there when we have issues. We have problems. My husband and I would go at 12 midnight, or we run there when we have issues. We run there when we want to thank God, praise God, we're so overflowing with happiness. We run in there, and then when there's somebody in need of prayer, Let's go in there, talk to Jesus face to face. Yeah, God's everywhere, right? He's everywhere. But this is a unique presence, which we will study, obviously, the Eucharist, his unique presence. So that's why it's truly, truly special. You have to go there and experience it, which you will experience next week, adoration. Not in that room, but in the church itself, which, I'm going to tell you more about that later. You had your hand up.
Yeah, so saying we have to reserve it in advance? Is that what you're saying?
The what?
You have to reserve it in advance?
No.
We said in the door code, whatever it was.
Yeah, you have the door code, and then you can just go there anytime. Anytime. Now, if you sign up for an hour, there's a number in the bulletin that you can call Teresa Serrano, and then you can sign up for that hour so that she will have you in a record so we know who's there.
Where are we getting that door code?
The door code, I can give that to you right now. You want the door code? 53124. 53124. 53124. Please go and experience it. You don't believe Jesus in the Blessed Sacrament yet, you go in there and you say, if this is you, truly you, please let me know somehow. But just to be in there, I want you to experience the peace. Whether you believe him or not, believe that it is him or not, I want you to experience. He will speak for himself. I don't need to prove him to you. He will touch you in the way that only he can do. Okay? And then after we learn more about the Eucharist, then your heart and your mind will be more convicted. Now you want to go. Now you want to run to him. Now you want to spend more time with the one who loves you and the one that you are learning to love. Okay? We are so blessed to have a 24/7. It's called perpetual adoration. We have many parishes. We should probably give you a list of the parishes that have perpetual adoration so that wherever you are, at least in Arizona, you'll have, a list of a church that you can go to any time of the day. And if you are traveling, masstimes.org. Masstimes.org. If you're traveling anywhere, and then you just punch that in, and they will give you the closest church within 2 miles from your hotel or wherever you are. And then you go look further, it will give you the closest church within 5 miles. But you keep going, and you will find a church where you can go to Mass. So there's really no excuse, especially for Catholics. They're vacationing. There's always a church nearby because you need to go, do your Sunday Mass. Of course, the Lord knows if you're stuck in Alaska somewhere and there's just no transportation and there's a blizzard and you can't go to Mass, on Sunday. He knows all the details. But if you're just there sleeping in and, you could go but you don't, then be careful. Okay? You're going to be accountable. Okay?
If you have a catechism, it's in here too. You can find it at 2097, which is page 509, but it's all on the adoration in the catechism. So again, we don't hide anything from anybody.
Yeah.
If you want to know where it is, let it just say here it is.
Yeah, it's great.
It's in the catechism.
The app for Mass Time.
There you go.
Great.
There you go.
Put
He
me right
tried
at
it
St.
over.
Anne.
Mass time. St. Anne's listed.
Put me right at St. Anne in the first place. So it knows exactly
First, he just, Preston just did the app, and then at masstimes.org, and then St. Anne's is the first one.
Oh, that's cool. Oh, yeah, that's
So
cool.
we'll review with the masstimes.org.
Okay.
They have the link to the website of the parish. Go to the link to the website because some parishes aren't so good about updating their mass schedules on masstimes.org. Or if you go to their website, it's
Yeah.
usually more up to date. Most parishes don't change it that often, but
Yeah.
I've had times where what's on mass time is not
Yeah.
the right time.
By the way, I'm glad you reminded me. By the way, if you go to the St. Anne's app or you go to the website, you know how it's a live webcam? Go to Adoration Cam, and it's right there in the Adoration Chapel. You could be adoring the Lord wherever you are. Now, it doesn't show the people that are there. It just focuses on the Lord and the monstrance. Yeah, so it could be just the picture, or if you put live, it will be right there, exactly live, focused on the Lord. You could be in the hospital, you could be at home and you're sick. You could be adoring the Lord. You're right there in your big screen TV. You know, you could be in the presence of the Lord. And then you go, but that's TV. What did we say about God? He's all powerful. He transcends time and space. He is the Lord of the internet, okay? I mean, he's the Lord of space. He created he is Lord of the airwaves. You know, he is not limited in any way. So if you have a live cam and it's focused on Jesus and the Blessed Sacrament and the Holy Eucharist, there you are, right in his presence. How cool is that? You know, technology is excellent, you know, as a force of good. Use it for the good. And we can do that. Now, last week we did talk about the veneration of images, you know, that it's not an invention and it's not idolatry. Now, if you worship that image or that picture or that painting or that carving or statue, if you start worshiping it, now that's bad. That's idolatry. Now, if you just start thinking of the person behind this as being depicted like a statue of Jesus, and you're thinking of Jesus, okay? So it helps you. It helps you pray. It beats talking to a blank wall. You know, if you have an image right there. Remember, we're so incarnational. The more we use our senses, the more it sinks in, the more it becomes part of you, the more you learn. You integrate it in your own being. That's why we have statues and pictures and stained glass and all that, and pictures on your cell phone. You're not worshiping your cell phone. You know, you can talk to that picture because, you know, you're being connected right there. That's what we do with statues. They're called public displays of affection. You know, when we kiss the statue, kiss the picture, it's not idolatry. It looks like it to a non-Catholic who does not understand what we do. Okay. So anyways, so please don't be afraid of doing that. Along with that, remember I said that the week after this weekend, next weekend, we're gonna have the statue of of our Blessed Mother Mary under her title Our Lady of Fatima, because she appeared in so many places and Fatima is one of them. And you have a handout there, you know, about the 9 approved apparitions of Mary. Before we get there, I want to touch on this because, well, it's all related, but the relics and the sacramentals that we're talking about, speaking of the images. So, go to any Catholic bookstore and you will find 100 statues, you know, 2,000 pictures and cards and stuff like that. Okay, guys, do you have a favorite athlete? All of you do. You think of that athlete and guess what? You have all the stats in here, like, okay, he is how many touchdowns, how many home runs, you know, how much does he weigh, who is his wife, right? You have all those, you know, bits of information about this person that you respect, you revere, you honor, you idolize, you know, quotation marks, right? Your idol. We have a lot of American idols nowadays. We have fame, money, power, okay? But these people can be your idols. Yourself could be your own idol. You know, you gotta be perfect, the right size, the right hair, the right this and that. You know, you could make yourself your own idol. You can make your profession an idol. You can make your spouse, you can make your children your idols, okay? No. All right? Now, think about this. You have ladies, you have a favorite actor, actress, you know, singer, whatever. What do? They have a concert advertising. What? You buy the tickets a year in advance. You try to get the best spot, right? And then you're there early, you know, maybe camping out. Why? You want to be there first because you want to be the first one at the store. You want to be the first one to buy a picture, a scarf, or whatever it is they're selling, a cup, a mug, anything that has your favorite actor or athlete or any person, anything of them, you want to get it. You will be the first one. And then you get it, you put it in a special place. If you bought a T-shirt, you're going to be wearing it until you smell. You're not going to wash it, right? Especially if you were able to go to that person and touch it, shake his hand, give a hug, or he spoke to you from 20 miles away and he waved to you and you go, oh, I will not forget that day. And then if he shook your hand, you're never going to wash this hand again. Have you all had that feeling? Yes, you have. I have. Okay. My own. I'm a big fan of all the EWTN, my speakers there. And so think about that. These are creatures, these are sinners like you. A lot of times their lives are not very exemplary. Their lives are not very holy. But you love them. You love what they do. You respect what they do. They get awards. They get, awards from cities. They get the Emmy. They get the Oscar. All these things, right? Same thing. We have our saints. The difference is these are holy people. The difference is they have overcome, their vices, their sins. And now we want to look up to their lives. And now what else do? They are able to pray for us. If they're already saints, they're with the Lord, face to face. What did we say about prayer? It's who you know. They can talk to the Lord directly for you. And the more of them that's talking directly to the Lord for you, the better. This is what I'm talking about, your team. But essentially, it's all of them are our team. St. Paul says, they are the cloud of witnesses that are cheering us on. We are still running the race. They have made it. They've gotten the prize. They're cheering us on. Okay, so now, even in the Lord's time and even before the Lord's time, Old Testament times, we have things that we call relics. These are remains of these holy people, okay? And we have a lot of examples. And so your handout on the relics gives you a little bit of an explanation. What are relics? These, okay, you have that handout on your desk. Do we need, does everybody have that? Yes, everything's on your table now. Relics. Relics are material items that are connected to a saint and sorted into 3 classes. A first class relic is all or part of the physical remains of a saint. This could be a piece of bone, a vial of blood, a lock of hair, even a skull or incorrupt body. Second class relic, any item that the saint frequently used. Clothing, for example. Third class relic is any item that touches a first or second class relic. Catholics are known to preserve relics of saints, and it is believed that graces from God flow through these objects to devout souls who venerate them. Venerate, we said last week, it means honor, respect. It doesn't mean worship, okay? So where in the Bible are relics? Go to 2 Kings 13, 20, 21. By the way, all of you have Bibles on your tables. Those of you who are in RCIA to be prepared to receive your sacraments, you take a Bible home, Catholic Bible home. If you are a cradle Catholic, you probably have your own Bible already. If you got received into the church recently, you probably got your Bible from us too, or if not, you bought your own. So they're there to use for tonight, but those who need the Bibles who are in RCIA preparing for sacraments, you take a Bible home that's a Catholic Bible. And if you're a Catholic but you do not have one, you can have one too. All right? Have a Bible. That's the Catholic Bible. I wanted to get this for you. Where's my Bible, Jen? There. Oh, here. I wanted to get it for you, but, since we had these, we had a lot of them, so that's what you're going to get, the New American Bible. This is another, the Revised Standard Version Catholic Edition, RSVCE. So it's a good study Bible. You can have this too. One of these nights, we're going to have several examples of the different translations, okay? But by the way, we forgot to do an opening prayer, and this is really connected to our topic anyway. And if you have the Bible, can you turn to Luke, the Gospel of Luke, chapter 1. Let's start with verse 26. Luke 1:26. So that will be in the New Testament. Look at the Gospel of Luke. You can look at the table of contents to make your search easier for now. Okay. So, everybody there? What page, Luke?
Or 1142.
Okay, and that one you have. For the RSV, you have page 48. For the New American Bible, what page?
1142.
1142 for that red Bible that's on your desk. So this is the context of the prayer that we're going to pray. In the 6th month, everybody there?
11:42.
Yeah, 1142 in the red book, red Bible. So in the 6th month, verse 26. In the 6th month, the angel Gabriel was sent from God to a city of Galilee named Nazareth, to a virgin betrothed to a man whose name was Joseph, of the house of David, and the virgin's name was Mary. And he came to her and said, Hail, full of grace, the Lord is with you. But she was greatly troubled at the saying, and considered in her mind what sort of greeting this might be. And the angel said to her, Do not be afraid, Mary, for you have found favor with God. And behold, you will conceive in your womb and bear a son, and you shall call him Jesus. I want to jump to verse 39 in order to have some context. Jump to verse 39. In those days Mary arose and went with haste into the hill country to a city of Judah, and she entered the house of Zechariah and greeted Elizabeth. And when Elizabeth heard the greeting of Mary, the child leaped in her womb, and Elizabeth was filled with the Holy Spirit, and she exclaimed with a loud cry, Blessed are you among women, and blessed is the fruit of your womb. And why is this granted to me, that the mother of my Lord should come to me? Our prayer today is the Hail Mary. So we read that in context so that you, especially if you're not a Catholic, you will not be scared or scandalized with this prayer, because we established last week that we are not worshiping Mary. And today we just established that the Hail Mary is from the Bible. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou among women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners, now and at the hour of our death. Amen. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Okay, we're going to go back to Mary a little bit later, but I want to explain the relics once again, because of September 7th, 8th, and 9th. I told you the statue of Mary will be here, plus the relics of two saints, Saint Francisco and Saint Jacinta. These were saints to whom, they were not saints then, but the Blessed Mother appeared to them. And there's another one, Lucia, who died the same year that John Paul died, and her cause is also being investigated, to be canonized as a saint. So these relics will be here on September 7th, 8th, and 9th. And now we look to the Old Testament to give us, a history of relics. And so we go to the second book of Kings, and it features the use of relics. So this is about Elisha. He died and was buried. At that time of the year, bands of Moabites used to raid the land. Once some people were burying a man when suddenly they saw such a raiding band. So they cast the man into the grave of Elisha, and everyone went off. But when the man came in contact with the bones of Elisha, he came back to life and got to his feet. So Elisha is long dead, right? And he was in the grave. And then there's this other guy who died, and they put him inside that grave, throw him in there, and upon contact with the body of Elisha, this guy, is alive. He's alive. So that brought him back to life. This is in Kings, okay? So in the New Testament, we have several. We see how God uses material objects to bring out healings. In the Gospel of Mark, we see how a woman is healed because she touched Jesus' cloak. And that's in Mark 5:27-29, if you want to look. She heard about Jesus, came up behind him and the crowd and touched his cloak. And she said, "If I but touch his clothes, I shall be cured." Now, this is not touching Jesus' hand, or face. It's just, in other translations, it's just, the hem of his garment. If I could just touch the hem of the garment, the robe of Jesus, she believes I could be cured. Okay? Immediately, so she did. Immediately her flow of blood dried up. Now this one, the context here, the story, this woman has been hemorrhaging for 12 years. And nobody could cure her. Went to every doctor or physician that she knows of. And she will not be relieved of this affliction. But in her belief, in her faith, she said, if I can touch just the hem of his garment, I will be cured. And she did. She felt in her body that she was healed of her affliction. Jesus even said, if you look in those pages, he says, who touched me? And the apostle, Lord, you have hundreds of people here and everybody's trying to touch you. A lot of people have touched him, doing this, reaching out. But he said, no, I felt power come out of me. He knew who it was, obviously. But he was inviting this person to reveal herself. Who touched me? I felt power come out of me. That was the healing power that went to this woman who felt herself cured. Okay? That was to elicit some of this, admit it, come out in the open. Then what else did he say? Your faith has saved you.
You just have to.
Yeah. It's not just a matter of touching this and doing that. You have to have some faith. The Lord, what did we say last week? The Lord who created you, or was it the other week? The Lord who created you without your cooperation will not save you without your cooperation. He wants a response. He's the lover. He gives his love, and he wants a response from you, a voluntary response because of your free will. For true love, for love to be true, it has to be voluntary. So he needs a response. Every time Jesus went about healing and curing people and raising them from the dead, he would always say, the cripple, stand up. What else would he say? He would always say, your faith has healed you. Or the Roman centurion, he said, you don't even need to come to my house to heal my servant. He said, just say the word, and he will be healed. And Jesus says, I have found no greater faith in this land, than this guy. Because he said, just say the word, and my servant will be healed, which is sounding familiar to you guys? Before we receive communion, what do we say?
Only say the word, and my soul shall be healed.
That's from the Bible. We have a flyer, I have a brochure, handout on the Mass, where every prayer, every line in the Mass, will give you the Bible passage. So is the Mass in the Bible? You bet. Is the Bible in the Mass? You bet. So that will be, and this one, what we do when the priest, Father says, behold the Lamb of God. Behold him who takes away the sins of the world. Blessed are those who are invited to the supper. And what do we say? Lord, I am not worthy that you should come under my roof, but only say the word, and my soul shall be healed. From that Roman centurion, only say the word, and everyone will be healed. Okay? So, Jesus works through just touching the hand. Remember when he healed the blind man, and he made mud, he made, with his spit, he got some dirt, spit on it, made a little paste and put it on the man's eyes. And then he said, and then go wash, And so God uses his creation to work miracles. If you go to Acts 5:15-16, Acts 5:15-16. You need time to look at that? Go to Acts 5, which is also in the New Testament. Okay, let's use your Bible.
Acts 5 what?
Acts 5, verse 15-16. So Acts is telling us about the early church. Apostles were going around now, preaching and teaching. So go to Acts chapter 5, verse 15-16. Found it? Got it? Are you all there? What page is it on the red book, red Bible? Oh, with this one, it's 103. 1221 in the red Bible. Acts 5, verse 15-16. Let's go there. Okay. Who would like to read it? Ray, you want to read that one?
So that they even carried out the sick into the streets and laid them on beds and pallets, that as Peter came by, at least his shadow might fall on some of them. The people also gathered from the towns around Jerusalem, bringing the sick and those afflicted with unclean spirits, and they were all healed.
Thank you. Can you imagine this, just a shadow? So people was walking around, and people that were around, close by, and if the shadow fell on them, they would be healed. This is Peter. He was a sinner. He denied Christ 3 times. But if the Lord chooses to heal through him, he could. The Lord uses his creation, his creatures, and then he uses people. To this day, we have people that have that, gift of healing. The Lord heals through them. You have these healing masses everywhere, and people pray over people, and we have a lot of, accounts of healing to this day. And then go to Acts 19, verse 11-12. Acts 19. We have a whole lesson, 1 or 2 lessons on the Bible, so don't worry. You cannot navigate right now, don't worry. Acts 19, verse 11-12.
1240.
1240 in the red book.
116 and 117.
115 and in this
116, 117.
116, 117. Okay. You want to read, Lindsay?
You said 11 and 12, right?
11 and 12 in Acts 19.
So extraordinary were the mighty deeds God accomplished at the hands of Paul, when faced robes or aprons, cloths or aprons would touch the skin, were applied to the sick, their diseases left them, and the evil spirits came out of them.
Handkerchiefs, cloths that they touch to Paul. They bring them to the sick, they get healed, and even evil spirits would be, expelled through handkerchiefs that were touched. to Paul. Okay, remember Elisha was dead. This person came to life. You have two living ones, Peter and Paul. Shadow of Peter, the handkerchief or anything touched to Paul, and they would be healed. Do Catholics do this today? Yes, we do. Mother Teresa, one of the healing that was attributed to her, that was the final miracle needed for her canonization, I believe, is a miraculous medal, which she was fond of giving away, Mother Teresa of Calcutta. She would give miraculous medals to anybody and everybody. So the woman was sick, it was a stomach cancer or something. It was terminal. She had days to live. She was in the hospital. And they were desperate. So they touched a miraculous medal that was touched, that Mother Teresa touched, obviously. They put it right there. She got cured. No trace. Medical science couldn't explain it. She was literally dying. They had no hope for her. You have the medical accounts and medical records and all these doctors. And, by the way, they even pick atheists and non-religious doctors, real scientists, to testify according to their findings. When they investigate, people's lives before they get canonized, they pick the ones that would be, they're not biased because they're pious Catholics that want this person to be canonized. No, they pick the worst or the most anti-Catholic, the ones that are really true to their science, in their branch of science. They are the experts in their field. That's who the church seeks out to testify to these cures. They have to be spontaneous. They have to be lasting. They can't be cured today and then it comes back in 5 months. No, they have to be a true healing, and it has to last. And you have all these testimonies from many people. So that happens today. It's happening right now. We have so many people. Oh, did you watch EWTN yesterday? They are looking at the life of a priest who was a chaplain. Vincent Capodanno, who was a Navy chaplain, but he was assigned to the Marines. So he's a chaplain. They're not allowed to, carry guns with them or any weapons. But they go there and minister to the soldiers, give them their sacraments, talk to them, even if they're not Catholic, just to give, encouragement, advice, talk about God. They're there for emotional, psychological, and spiritual support. Anyways, he died because chaplains from that show, they're not supposed to go into, the battlefield, where people are. But he's the one that wanted to be where the Marines are. He was always there, even if he was not supposed to. Anyway, he saved a few people, many people. He gave them, and if they're already dying, he gave them their last sacraments, blessed them, talked to them, accompanied them. Well, he got gunned down, 26 bullets, finally when he fell down, but he was going around, ministering to people. So his cause is being investigated right now, and there's an original movie, docudrama produced by EWTN. It was aired last night. But it's going to be, rerun several times because there's going to be a mass for him on September 4th, I believe, by the Archbishop of the military diocese. There's a diocese for military persons. Okay, and there will be a mass for him at the National Shrine of the Basilica of the Immaculate Conception in Washington, D.C. Anyway, so his life is and since the Pope had already, he is now one of the new criteria for someone to be canonized is a heroic, voluntary giving up of one's life, which is exactly what Father Vincent Capodanno did, this priest. And you should hear the testimonies of people that were there, that were Marines serving, that were there in the battlefield. And I was crying. I listened again this morning. I'm going, wow, what a holy priest. And if you saw the movie Hacksaw Ridge, I did. So it's kind of like that one, but this guy in Hacksaw Ridge went several times, and he was just picking up people and throwing them over the ridge, right? And but see, we have a lot. Okay, Father Vincent Capodanno got the Congressional Medal of Honor for his heroism. And then Father Mitch said, this is a fact. A lot You know, most of the people that got the Congressional Medal of Honor were Catholic priests. And that's a fact. And it's funny because towards the end, Father Mitch said something that I said, you're right. He says it's a testimony or, you know, something that's from priests being celibate. They're not married. They don't have wives or children to think about. He says there's kind of a recklessness about them that they can just go, you know, anywhere they're needed because they're not thinking of my wife and my kids that I'm going to leave behind, etc., etc. I'm here for the Lord, whatever I'm needed. So there's a kind of recklessness about them that they could just go and just give their lives, you know, for somebody. So one of the callers said he was tearing up. You could see that he's crying. His voice was breaking. He said that he was the chaplain's assistant. So he would go and follow Father because he's supposed to protect Father. Because Father does not carry any weapons, and this guy was the one with the guns to protect Father because Father wanted to go everywhere when he's not supposed to. Anyways, so he said Father was taking care of everybody else, but he was crying. He said, but Father was really taking care of my soul. He said, so Father was all about souls. So what a great one. And contemporary, I mean, these people are still alive that were there when that happened. So in our own time, we have saints. We have people that, it was 1967, I think, when he died. You know, I realize a lot of you were not even born yet, but yeah. So anyways, so, you know, when these saints get canonized and we get relics, like at our chapel, at the Adoration Chapel, we have a relic of St. Anne. Okay, and how do you get relics? You write the Vatican, you know, and then they, you know, through some procedures, and they can send you one. We have other relics. We just found a few other relics that we will put in this place sometime. If you go to St. Tim's, okay, if you enter the church, this is the main door. On the right, where this is the gift shop. On the right, they have a whole room of 100-something saints' relics. Saints' relics are there. In this place, what, 4 or 5 years ago, we had 130-something, 160-something relics displayed in all these tables. So we were able to go around, and what do we do with relics? We don't worship them, okay? They're put in a bone, hair, you know, a piece of their clothing, you know, first, second, or third class. So they're in a reliquary, a nice container, and they were displayed. So what do? That's why you think we're crazy, because we go and kiss the relic, touch our rosary, touch our handkerchief, touch our crucifix, and then they are touched. Like they touched, you know, Paul's handkerchief. They were touched to something holy, blessed. And so we treasure those things as Catholics. You know, those are, we do that, and we're crazy. We're like fans of these saints. You're right. The only difference is they're already holy, and their lives prove that. So what you do with your favorite athletes and celebrities and stuff, it's just the same thing, except there's a difference. They're already holy. Okay. These other celebrities, their lives may not be worth copying. Okay, but they have talents and gifts, and some of them have, you know, given back the Lord the glory by using their gifts. You have a lot of Christian artists, Christian songwriters. They're using their craft and their skills and talents to give glory to the Lord. Then there are some that, you know, bad influence for the kids and adults. But yet you have people adoring them, people still following them around, you know. But anyways, do relics have power? Does that handkerchief of Paul have power? It's the Lord's power, okay? You have to make. While the church encourages the practice of venerating relics, it's important to remember that it is not the actual object that imparts the healing. A piece of bone can't heal someone from terminal cancer. However, God can use a relic of a saint to heal, just like he used his cloak to heal the woman with the hemorrhage. The relic is an instrument for God's miraculous power. I told you, he likes to use the things that he created. The recognition of the source of power prevents someone from worshiping the object and lifts her soul to God. So you have to recognize the power came from God. Okay? But it's a tangible object that reminds you of that power. And because you are flesh and blood, you like to do it. You like to hold things. You like to kiss, the scapular. You like to kiss your rosary. Okay? Has the church supported the practice throughout the ages? The church has defended the veneration of relics since the very beginning. A letter from St. Polycarp, 156 AD, explains how the faithful venerated his bones and took special care of them. We took up bones, which are more valuable than precious stones and finer than refined gold, and laid them in a suitable place where the Lord will permit us to gather ourselves together as we are able in gladness and joy and celebrate the birthday of his martyrdom. Okay, here's another tidbit. The Catholic, in the Catholic Church, the altars in the front, especially if they're marble or made of. Okay, so you see the priest coming in at Mass, then they go around the altar, right? And then what do? Him and the deacon, they go and kiss the altar, right? Where did this practice come from? Okay, so some of the saints persecuted, killed by the Romans, tortured. So their bones, their remains, okay, they would be buried in caves, right? So the faithful would get their bodies and bury them. And then, because they were persecuted, they would go into those caves and celebrate Mass there. Those are called the catacombs in Rome. Now, it could be a rock. They could be buried under a rock, or they could be here. And because that's a holy person, a martyr of the Lord, right? So what did I say about venerating? You can kiss that, right? So when the priest and the deacon kiss the altar, the reason is there's usually a relic of a saint embedded in those altars. So before they build the church, they write for a relic, and then when they do that, they build the altar, they embed, or maybe they bury it, there, a relic of a saint. So we are just doing what the early Christians did, kissing that holy, object, right? Because there's a holy person's relics in there. Yeah, you find that strange? Also, that altar will now be what? The altar of sacrifice. Because when we get to the Eucharist, learning that it is the same sacrifice in Calvary that is happening right here on this altar of this church at this Mass. It's the same one. We're not re-crucifying Jesus every Mass. No. Same one in Calvary, same one at the Mass. Yeah, it's mind-boggling. But we'll study that and we'll try to explain. And then we ask for the Lord to give us the faith to believe it, because we will not be able to explain that completely, okay? So that's why they kiss the altar, a practice from the early church. In his letter to Riparius, St. Jerome, 420 AD, wrote in defense of relics, saying, "We do not worship, we do not adore, for fear that we should bow down to the creature rather than to the Creator. But we venerate the relics of the martyrs in order the better to adore him whose martyrs they are." Okay? So in the end, relics of saints allow us to draw close to these holy men and women of the past, and God uses these material objects to impart special graces to faithful souls. They are never to be worshipped and are meant to lead us to the ultimate worship of the one Lord. So when these relics come of Saint Jacinta and Saint Francisco, and we have the schedule in the bulletin. So Friday night we welcome them, like at 8 o'clock. There's a holy hour, 7 to 8. But a little bit before 8, we will probably process the statue and the relics. And then Friday, whole day of Friday we still have the 3 masses of that day. We have a presentation by the custodian of the statue and the relics. And then we will be praying the rosary, continuously. And people, you'll see a lot of people turn out, Catholics, and they know this from all over. They will come to St. Anne's and go and we have the veneration route. I personally do the route, and that's where people come, and we'll have a nice procession, people going to venerate the relics, venerate, kiss, touch your rosaries, the whole day of Friday, and then also venerate the statue of Our Lady of Fatima. And then Saturday is from after the 7 o'clock Mass until 1 o'clock. We'll have veneration, and then we have the Holy Hour at 1 o'clock, the whole church, inside the church. And then Gianna Mola speaks, the daughter of the saint, will be speaking. And then we'll have the 4:30 Mass, and then we'll have, more celebration here. So, we are going to have you okay. So your class next week, by the way, I will be there, because I have pick up the custodian and the statues from the airport that night. And then the last 30 minutes of adoration, which is 7:30 to 8, you will all be going to the church to have a little bit of adoration time, that 30 minutes. You will be there when we welcome the statue and the relics of the two saints. You will be at the church, okay, and experience that. And of course, then you will have a first chance, to be the first ones to venerate the relics, if you want. If you want to come back the next day, that's fine. But you will be right there in the church. You'll be one of the first, okay, to be venerating, because whenever these things happen, the whole world knows about it, and they all come. I mean, I've gone to several churches, several relics, and we're going to be there hours and hours and hours, which people wait and do, just like waiting in line for your favorite singer, at the concert, etc. Okay? So anyway, let's take a break right now, because those donuts are calling your name.